measures whatsoever?
Well, we're interrupting this because what the President of the United States is saying, in large part, is absolutely untrue. He began, and we're not going to allow it to keep going because it's not true. He began with there were legal votes, and if they only count the legal votes, I easily win. If they count the illegal votes, they're trying to steal the election. There is not a scintilla of evidence that this is true. None. There's only words here. No truth. He said the pollsters knowingly got the polls wrong to create voter suppression. There is no evidence of any kind that this has happened, and he's provided none. He said that there is actually a red wave in this election. That is categorically false. He said there was election interference. There is no evidence to support that, and the president has offered none. He said the polls were fake. In some cases, the polls were wrong. It's been widely discussed that maybe the idea of polling needs to be reinvented. That's for another day. There's no evidence that the polls were, quote, fake. He said that observers were not allowed in to watch the counting of the votes. Categorically false. He said that he won a court challenge on allowing observers in to view. And in fact, he did win a court challenge in Allegheny County in Pennsylvania. That court challenge was specifically about the distance from which poll watchers would be able to stand. If memory serves, it was 12 feet from the counters. One representative from the Democratic Party, one representative from the Republican Party. In Allegheny County, he specifically asked, or his campaign did, that poll viewers and observers be allowed to stand within 6 feet. They agreed to do so. And in Allegheny County, according to reports from Pennsylvania, they shut down the count so that they could reconfigure the situation so that representatives from the Democrats and the Republicans could stand not within 12 feet, but within 6 feet of the count. That change was made, and then they were planning to restart. He said that after, if you could take him out of my ear, please. He said they wanted to wait until after the election and then find extra votes for him. There is no evidence that this is true, and he's offered no evidence to support it. He said that he won Florida, bigly, I believe was the quote. He won Florida by 300, let's see. He won Florida by 3.4%. He said that he would have won the election legally. Right now, Vice President Biden leads President Trump in the total votes counted by 3.9 million. He said he will not allow the corruption to steal the election. There is no indication of any corruption to steal the election, and no evidence thereof has been offered. He said that they don't want anyone watching as they count the ballots. This is categorically false. In each case, observers are allowed from both sides of the political aisle to watch the counting happen. He said that they are trying to commit election fraud. Categorically false. In the state of Georgia, the Secretary of State was asked if there had been any voter fraud investigations of yet. And the Secretary of State in the state of Georgia said there have been no complaints of voter fraud by Democrats or Republicans. And as a result, there have been no investigations of voter fraud. The truth is, the count continues. The vote ended at different times as set by law and structure in states and counties across the nation on Election Day, Tuesday, November 3rd. The vote stopped and the counting began. In some cases, ballots were allowed by mail-in as long as postmarked by the end of the day on November 3rd to be counted for a few more days. Pennsylvania, for instance, the Republican-controlled state created rules that allowed for the counting to continue through Friday of this week, so until tomorrow. No votes are being allowed after November the 3rd. In some states, they have to arrive by November the 3rd. But allegations of voter fraud, allegations of trying to steal the election, none of that is true. Not one word. Eamon Javers is with us from Washington. Eamon, I guess it was 3 o'clock in the morning yesterday, after an all-night, after election night, he came to the podium and issued a series of false statements then. He's issuing a series of false statements now.
Yeah, Shep, what we're looking at tonight is the President of the United States attacking the credibility of a free and fair election in the United States of America. It's not something that any American has witnessed before as the President is now leaving the briefing room. I can tell you that one of the arguments that the President made in sort of suggesting that there was some fraud here was this idea. He said, it's amazing how the mail-in ballots are so one-sided. Well, the President there ignoring the fact, completely walking past the fact that he spent weeks of time arguing that mail-in ballots were dangerous, that his supporters should not send their ballots in through the mail, that was not an acceptable way to vote, and urging people to vote in person, saying that was the only legitimate way to vote. So, of course, people who supported Trump did that after he made that argument. People who supported Biden, by and large, were wary of COVID and decided to mail their ballots in. So that's the reason that the mail-in ballots are overwhelmingly Biden, not anything else. The President throwing that out there, in effect, as an argument for why there's bias in the counting process and ignoring his own role in setting up that dynamic in the first place, Shep. We've just never seen anything like this in American history, and it's going to be interesting to see what the reaction is here. One of the things that I can tell you is that we've been getting new data during the course of the day today in all of these battleground states that are still hanging fire. We've got 5 states out there still hanging in the balance. New count in Pennsylvania, new count in Georgia. The balance in Georgia is tightening tonight. They were down to 9,000 votes earlier. They're less than that, I'm told now. That state is a traditionally red state. The President here tonight listing a long list of his accomplishments, and he did have many in this election. He won Florida, he won Ohio, he won a number of other states by convincing margins. But the state of Georgia is in play for Democrats right now, which indicates that Republicans are having trouble there holding on to a historically very red seat. This is a situation that the President is in. He's now declared victory in this election, Shep. And he's out here tonight in the briefing room of the White House talking to America and the world and saying that he's been dealt with unfairly. One thing to note, Shep, not at his side today for these comments was the Vice President, Mike Pence, Shep.